Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. 3 companies have recently made encouraging announcements regarding the development of past mining projects in South Africa. Martin Creamer joins me in studio to discuss this reinvigoration. Hi, Martin.
Hi, Tracy.
Pan-African Resources has fundraised to fast-track the development of its Elikhulu gold tailings project. What has this fundraising entailed?
You know, it's been fundraising both in London and Johannesburg, quick fundraising. They first had R1 billion from Rand Merchant Bank as debt, and then they went for a share placing, and they got share placing involving new and existing shareholders, and they raised another 700 million very quickly in both jurisdictions.
And what makes this project so appealing?
It's got mouth-watering returns. You know, if you look at it, all-in cost, the all-in cost to get the gold out of these tailings dumps, $527 an ounce. So, you know, if you double that, it's still not what you're getting for gold in the region of $1,250 an ounce. So we're talking about a margin of 120%. And I think that's why they want to fast track it now. They see the gold price holding at that sort of level probably. I think if Donald Trump has anything to do with it, it will probably lift, which is too horrifying and ghastly to contemplate. But they are giving a boost to their profile in surface materials, turning them to account. You know, they've done it successfully in Barberton. They've done it successfully at the Evander mines in Mpumalanga, and now this is Elikhulu, also at Evander. And Elikhulu means great and big, and this is quite a big throughput, and it's a quick return, lowish cost, and they've raised the capital fairly quickly, and I think a lot of the debt will be repaid on cash flow. So it's not going to affect dividend statements, I think, in the future. They've just had a record dividend in 2016, and I think possibly the shareholders have got used to that sort of level of dividend now. And so this is Pan-African. It's listed in London on the alternative investment market, or alternate investment market known as the AIM. And then also in Johannesburg, it's run by CEO Kobus Loots. He's got rid of all his coal assets now, got quite a lot of money for that, and focusing now on gold. He's also got some platinum interests, which are not showing the great returns that gold is at the moment. So he's got a big underground mine at Evander. That has just had to be refurbished to make it safer. He's completed that on the 40 million budget plus the time. He's coming in, I think, April 15, he met that target. So that is a higher cost operation. But now if you're looking at Evander as a whole, this is a game changer for Evander. You know, this Elikhulu, as it comes in there with these lower cost ounces, it's going to do a lot for that operation.
And in other news, the National Union of Mine Workers and Solidarity have welcomed the deal between Seriti and Anglo American. What does this deal entail?
You know, Seriti, another name we've got to watch. And that is being led by Mike Tekkie. Mike Tekkie, you know, he started off many years ago in 1984 as a 76 Rand a week labourer, working for Van Leer Packaging in Springs. He's had this meteoric rise. You know, he's filled just about every position you can fill in mining. He's had his own coal mine, Optimum, which was put on the stock exchange, was bought by Glencore. He got a personal big flow of money from that. He's been investing all over. He's in contract mining now. He's got his own company, you know, in coal. And what he's done is he's brought in 3 other big shareholders to form Seriti. So if you look at Seriti now, it is a 79% black-owned entity, because it brings in, you know, the likes of Tebe Investment, which is already well established with 25%. It's got his own Massimong in there with 25%. And then you've got Zungu Investments with another 25%. And then Dr. Anna Machokeng's company, Community Investments, the other 25%. So no mining company has reached that level of black ownership. And what they are saying is they want to be the big mining champion of the future. So as Anglo Gold, sorry, I keep on saying Anglo Gold, Anglo American disposes of its bulk assets, its bulk commodities, coal and iron ore, you've now got Seriti eyeing that. The first deal, 2.3 billion rand. They want what are known as the coal mines that are tied to Eskom. Beautifully, two unions come out and say we support this, because along with those three mines, New Vaal, Colliery and Creel and New Denmark, are another 4 entities that have been closed, which Seriti believes that they can reopen. So the unions are saying, gee whiz, there's more job opportunities with this coming through, so they have given it the firm thumbs up. We haven't seen that sort of response from unions, so that's very favourable. But what I think that Seriti is looking for now is a firm thumbs up from Eskom, because Eskom sort of put a bit of a spoke in the wheel, saying, these assets, they're tied assets. They really should be on our balance sheet. You better come over here and have a chat.
Why is there confusion about the rightful ownership of the Eskom tied assets?
I think it stems from a court case that took place recently between Exoro's Arnott coal mine, which is a coal mine tied to Eskom, and Eskom itself. And the court decided that these tied mines are actually the assets of the state entity, Eskom. And so this has created a bit of confusion, because Eskom is saying, look, the court says they're ours, but they're not on our balance sheet. So let's chat, yeah. Eskom has said that they, in terms of coal, if you compare that to being a bakery, they don't want to be the baker. They don't want to be the coal miner. They just want to go in and buy the bread. So against that background, I'm sure they don't want to take over these assets really, but I think they want to make sure that they get the best of deals on the coal front, and maybe talk about what part of that they own. Heaven only knows what the outcome will be. I hope it doesn't stall things, because we need a new mining champion. We know that Neil Froneman, with his Sibanya, he put his hand up and said, I'll be your mining champion. He also is ambitious to do that. You can see how the assets that he bought from Anglo-American, through Anglo-American Platinum, he bought those deep, dark, and he says not dangerous, very mines, but sometimes they are dangerous. They have to be well worked. He's an expert at working that sort of mine as best you can. So he's taken over some of the Anglo assets. We know that Anglo was iconic, but you can see it bowing to its London shareholders and other shareholders. This was a South African company. It's like fading as a South African company pretty fast. And if it gets, these assets off its back, it will be even less sort of linked to South Africa. We see the same fight going on now with BHP Billiton. They've had shareholders say, look, you should be listed in London, not in Australia. The Australians are squealing, saying, hey, you're trying to take our national assets here away from us, calling on the Prime Minister, fight this, fight this. Well, we sort of let things go. When Anglo listed in London, we should have said, should be a dual primary listing. But we said, we didn't. We allowed the primary listing to go to London. BHP Billiton didn't do that. They made sure their primary listing, was in Australia, which has made a big difference to that. But you can see their shareholders are saying now, come on, you're a world company. Come into the middle here. Come into London. It makes more sense. I don't know whether it does or doesn't. But in the meantime, it's great that we've got a new set of mining champions. One of them is Seriti, led by Mike Teki. He's got broad experience as outgoing president of the Chamber of Mines, outgoing chairman of Richards Bay Coal Terminal, had a coal mine listed on the stock exchange, had it bought by Glencore, now is buying up what he can. He's starting with this coal, which is a 2.3 billion rand deal. It's done and dusted, signed. It's just they have to just clear a few things with Eskom and the normal competition situation, which shouldn't be a problem. But they want other assets. It's a great thing for South Africa because they're saying we want to keep the highest of standards and we want to make sure that transformation has taken place. That was right on top of the list. And you can see 79% black ownership is massive.
And then Orion Gold is wanting to revive a project in Priska. How has the funding for this development gained momentum?
It's gained momentum because they've linked up with Tembo Capital. It's a London group, Tembo, which has also got a lot of geological know-how. They've taken 19%. You can see they've already raised some capital, 30 billion. There's also 18 million rand there because it's never been used. It's part of the environmental commitment that you put into the mine, and that was done in the 90s, and it's never actually been used, so it's still there for environmental purposes. So there is capital around, and they have managed to now get their hands on the prospecting rights through acquiring a company there. And you've got to give it to these Aussies, you know. They see things that the South Africans don't see. You know, we should be looking in our own backyard there. That's Priska. We know, you know, it's near the town of Copperton. That should tell us something. It has produced, under Anglo Vaal, which is one of our big four mining houses, now in the hands of Patrice Motsepe's African Rainbow Minerals, but he didn't actually take over these assets in Priska because they were already closed in the 90s. They produced 1 million tons of zinc from there between 1971 and 1991, and you know, a lot of copper. The Australians, Orion Gold, they spotted that, said we'll go in there. They've already got permission to go underground by the Department of Mineral Resources, so there's a lot of cooperation they're finding locally, and they're prepared to put their geological knowledge in there and start off by looking at resuscitating the mines. There's still shafts, they still go down, decline shafts, vertical shafts that they have to inspect and see whether they can revive that, which could create a nice cash flow for them to do more work in the region, because they've actually got earn-in agreements and arrangements over a massive area there, 1,600 square kilometers. So, you know, that happens when the Australians, they've got a lot of, normally Australians have got quite a lot of geological know-how, and that's very important. We lack that, so they've stolen a march on us here.
And you spoke of an acquisition. How has the VMS acquisition influenced the future plans of the company?
Big time, because they want to change the name of the company, take gold out, although one of the assets they've got is also close to this Priska mine is a gold asset, so they're looking to turning that as well, but they feel that they should change the name of their company because their focus is no longer gold, it's base metal, so they want to ask their shareholders to have a name change, you know, to Orion Minerals, and that they think will get through fairly imminently.
Thanks, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Tracy.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the South African mining industry.